Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to hashtag Startup Stories by Amity. India has more than 50,000 startups in India, with 2-3 tech startups born every day. Creating the culture of nourishing job creators should be the trend in the universities and colleges. And I feel very proud mentioning that Amity has such a strong incubation system, that is Amity Innovation Incubator, to nurture the ideas of today's youth and capability to provide necessary support. Led by our Honorable Chancellor Dr. Aseem Chauhan, who has extensive experience in venture capital and leverage payouts, it is his vision to nurture young minds to dream big and create more value for India. To seed the aspirations to bring more startup ideas on board to cultivate, I, Sachin Juneja, presents to you hashtag Startup Stories, where we will bring amazing success stories from Amity Innovation Incubator Yard to inspire you more to dream big at Amity. Joined with me are my esteemed panelist, Mr. Prashant Chaudhary. He's a founder and CEO of PLab Predoc, which is India's first AI-based audio-video platform used for diagnostic of symptoms of a patient. Joined with me is Prashant there, who has a 15 years of experience in software development using AI and ML. He has worked for Fortune 500 companies like RBS, Google, Sapient, as well as startups, and extremely passionate about technology and marketing. And then we have Ayush Avasthi, who is also a founder and CEO of Jameez Loungewear. He graduated from Amity University Gurugram in 2016. He was an active member of ESL and earned a bronze medal in his BTech degree. In 2009, not much convinced with what he is doing in his corporate life, he realized that adversity created by the fast fashion industry and his effects on the environment, and decided to take a leap into entrepreneurship with Jameez Loungewear. And finally, we have Dr. Vikas Madhukar, who is a Deputy Pro Vice Chancellor and Head of ESL at Amity University, Gurugram. Dedicated his life in nurturing students on various aspects. He is actively involved in university functions and provide mentoring to the students. Welcome to hashtag Startup Stories to our esteemed panelists.
Thanks, sir.
Great. So before we move forward, I would like to have a glimpse of Amity University Gurugram video so that we all can view what Amity University Gurugram is offering to all of us.
Amity Gurgaon Marathon, which has seen participation from over 30,000 runners.
Now it is.
Besides making people health conscious, highlights various social issues. The Amity student community also actively participates in social initiatives like Udan to educate underprivileged children. Students are also driving cancer awareness camps. Swachhata Abhiyan inspired Clean the City drives, regular blood donation camps. Amity University Gurgaon is India's only university and Asia's second to be awarded the LEED USA Platinum certification, the highest standard worldwide for environmentally responsible design, construction and operations of existing buildings.
Amity also offers you a basket of career-focused disciplines in all streams of interest to Class 12 students like you. Let's take a glance.
Now, let's take a glimpse of the pulsating campus life at Amity University Gurgaon that goes beyond academic excellence, which allows you to flourish as an individual by organizing and participating in diverse cultural events and competitions such as Youth Fest or being a part of Sangathan, the Inter-Amity Institution's sports meet that marks the birthday of Amity's founder-president. You get countless opportunities to enhance your organizational, teamwork and leadership skills. At Amity University Gurgaon, you follow a learning and development curve that is designed to help you stay ahead of the future by empowering you to dream and carve out a vision. It has been conceived to help you optimize your true potential. So if you see yourself joining the League of Indian Visionaries shown earlier, Then go ahead and envision a better tomorrow for yourself and for India. Amity University, Gurgaon, established in 2010.
So I hope we have been through the video. Further continuing the main context of this series, first of all, I would like to ask Prashant, if you can please unmute both of you.
Sure. Sure.
Great. Great. First of all, thank you so much, Prashant and Ayush, for joining us.
Thank you. It's been an honor.
Great. Great. So Prashant, starting with you, being COVID at its highest peak, can you share something about your startup and how it is affecting probably it having the advantage in current system?
Yes. So basically, we are a platform for audio-visual diagnosis. So we have started with the COVID diagnosis as our first API. The idea which originated was we have a co-founder who's a doctor, MD medicine. So we are childhood friends. So we just basically discussed among ourselves how artificial intelligence and healthcare can merge together. And later on, we came up with this idea. And in the last COVID wave, we were actually working to develop the technology and gather the data and everything. So that wave went off. We were not able to gather much data, but still we had a prototype ready. These days, when it's the second wave came, we actually have collaborated with the LNJP, which is the biggest hospital in Delhi for COVID. So we are gathering data over there, and we are developing a product which is, I believe, within 4 weeks we would be able to, develop and put it as an MVP inside. Even we are in talks with LNJP if we can put it over there and start testing. So basically, what it does is it recognizes your coughing sound. It uses your coughing sound to measure what is your infection level in the cuffs. So a cough of a normal person is different from a cough of a patient of a disease. So even the TB and the COVID coughs are different. So it basically measures the the frequency at which you're coughing and the sound which is being produced by your lungs and your throat, your vocal cords, and the entire respiratory system. And then, so you can take an example like, a doctor can hear some of the sounds, but they cannot hear most of the sounds. Like you have a dog whistle, which actually, if you try to blow, the dog can hear it, you cannot hear it. So there are frequencies which human ears cannot hear. The AI actually catches that as well. So we are basically into developing this solution for a screening test for COVID, and it should be ready within the scope.
That's really important. I think in the second wave, with the kind of number of COVID patients are going up, I'm sure this is going to have a great help.
Yeah.
Right. Over to Ayush. From engineering to extremely other side of the your entrepreneurship. Share something how this idea originated, and how things are going on.
So I've been always captivated by entrepreneurship. I love the thought of turning ideas into reality. It was always in back of my head since I was in school and when I was in college. And soon it came forefront when when I left the college, I saw the word outside after the college, and then I realized, yes, I have to do something bigger than this. I was not completely satisfied. I tried. I hopped from one job to another. I went from educational to business process automation in American Express. I used to work there for a couple of years, but there was something that was unsettled in my brain, and that's why I thought to take this leap towards entrepreneurship, and it has been going well. And then the coronavirus has drawn attention, that we need more sustainability and consciousness embedded in our brand's DNA, right? So moreover, because fashion is all about profit, so we have to move forward than that, and move towards more health and safety of the people, not just the things. So we have to get ahead of that. And now that I'm doing it, I'm very happy, and I'm really happy that Amity Incubator has supported me in this journey.
That's right. So how been the experience as an entrepreneur, and from Amity Innovation Incubator, the support that you received?
It was very nice because I come from a background where I'm the first generation entrepreneur. So for people like me, it's very difficult to get into an ecosystem which is not available in our genes, in our background. There's no one to mentor us. So when we look forward than that, and we don't know about how to utilize the money, what all is required, and how many things are required, then I think a professional corporation like Amity Innovation Incubator really help people like us, and just guides us towards the right direction that we have to take, and not make the mistakes that other people who learn from themselves might make in the start. So it actually helps there.
That's right. Absolutely. Thank you. Prashant, can you share your life as an entrepreneur right now?
Yeah, so it's been kind of a roller coaster. There have been scary moments. There have
Can,
been
can you
wonderful moments.
speak little loudly?
Okay, just yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, better, better.
Okay, so basically, life has been a roller coaster during these times. And because we're working with COVID, it's at times scary. At times, it's very difficult to find people to work with. And people are scared with the name of COVID. And we had to go inside the COVID wards, the COVID ICU, talk to the COVID patients, ask them to cough into our mobile, and gather data that way. I myself went with a PP kit and went inside. I trained a guy. So even finding a guy was a very difficult task, because nobody wants to go inside a COVID ward by himself. So even resource-wise, it was challenging. Even they thought of how to figure out ways of collecting data, because data is key for artificial intelligence. So there were times where there were dead stop, but then you don't have to you see that there is a deadlock and you cannot go move ahead, but still you have to think and figure out ways to do it. And that's how life has been since last few months. Though I have been really received a lot of help from AII, that MIT helped me the networking with even they helped me prepare my pitch deck. They refined my helped me refine my idea. They were when we started, we wanted to do everything with our own app now, but then we our idea was refined with our mentors, and we converted that into an API so that it can be a scalable model. So from refinement of idea to implementation, even right now we are in talks with Vardhani Foundation, and they are helping us out in that. So because they are working on the similar kind of stuff, so if we collaborate, so even the collaboration is happening through MET help.
That's right. So students, I hope you've been able to have an understanding how from a idea to startup things moved on. And in this session, you are going to have much clarity around it. So taking the conversation forward, Dr. Madhukar, can you share some insights around how idea is selected, so that student can reframe themselves from the wishful thinking?
Yeah, a very good afternoon to all esteemed panelists. Of course, I would say my dear students and the participants. So, thanks to the vision of our Honorable Chancellor, sir, that who has thought of establishing an incubation center 2 decades back, when probably only a few university and institution in the world probably thought about that. And today, after about 2 decades of its establishment, the first innovation incubator which was established in Noida, and today we see Amity Innovation Incubator in each of our Amity University campuses, not only in India but also abroad. And this is quite synonymous to the name of Amity, where the Amity is also always known as a university who is quite committed towards the cause of entrepreneurship, research, and innovation. Particularly, if I'm talking about the Amity Innovation Incubator at Amity University, Gurugram, the Amity Innovation Incubator is actually truly committed to help and provide support to all of our students, and even those they are from outside university, where you can see Prashant, where we have extended a support to Mr. Prashant in his upcoming idea. We have had given a funding to him so that he can take up his idea to a proto stage, and also to Ayush, who has very closely worked with me in ECEL and who was a ECEL leader as well. And he was actively involved in, connecting with the entrepreneur. I remember that we had started our one of the most important event in ECEL by the name of Real Entrepreneur, Real Stories. So where we have started calling up the young entrepreneur and sharing their life experience with our students, and these entrepreneurs, they're also providing mentoring to the student, right? So in this way, one way we have ECEL operating in the university, which is completely organized and run by the students community, and these students are involved in organizing various kind of events and activities, and they are creating a kind of sensitization among the student. They are motivating student, bringing all those students to forward on front side, where the student have some aspirations to become an entrepreneur. And once the ECEL is helping all those students in their initial state of idea generation and idea screening, idea evaluation. So once they are prepared with their business plan and pitch that, the ECEL is taking further to them to the incubation center, where the selection committee of incubation center is screening their idea, advising them, and finally, if the idea is selected, then taking that idea to the incubation center to convert that idea into a startup. So coming back to this specific question which has been asked by our moderator, Mr. Sachin, about the idea generation process. See, in any venture, in anything, idea is the first starting point. So when I see when I look at the idea generation process, for me, it is more about the innovation mindset. Innovation mindset, a mindset which is either looking forward to have an incremental change or a significant change. So what it is important uh, to have an idea, right? I feel that every idea, the seed of every idea come from a problem. So it is very uh, important for anyone who is looking forward for idea to understand the existing problem. So what is a way of understanding a problem? See, I always suggest this thing to student. Once the students are coming to me and they are saying, sir, I want to be an entrepreneur, but I don't have an idea, I don't know what I have to start. So I always advise them, see, you start observing and looking your daily routine. You keep observing the surroundings. You just see from right from the day you are starting, and by the time you are ending your day, that what kind of environment is there, what kind of problem do you see, and try to look at those problem from the perspective of finding a solution. So once you are into this habit of looking at the various issue around you from the perspective of identifying a problem, probably then your brain will start thinking about the possible solution. I remember a year back, I along with my family, we went to a shopping mall, and we found that there was a lot of problem of parking, and we were not able to find the parking space in that shopping mall. And then we had come back because there was no parking. It was so crowded. So my son, who was in class 10, he said that, Papa, this parking in the city is the biggest problem. We should try to find out a solution of this problem. I said, what kind of solution is in your mind? So he said, Papa, probably we may think about developing an application which can be connected to different shopping mall, and anyone who is visiting to that mall can have the exact status of parking. Even one can have parking reserve in advance. So I was really surprised and delighted to listen this from him. So the ultimate thing which comes first is identification of problem, and then finding out a way that what are the ways to resolve that. That is the second step, right? The solution comes second, but first is a problem. And this is how the biggest company like Uber, they have come up, because they've also identified a problem that if someone is stuck up somewhere and there is no taxi, no transport available, then what is the way out? So then they have came out with this app, and this is how this Uber idea was started. The second thing I would like to mention here, it's just an extension. Once you are able to think about your local issue, then think in global context, right? that how the particular problem has its impact on global level, and then you can this can give a boost to your thinking, and you can start thinking further. The second point in this, when you are thinking about an idea generation, it has broadly two parts. One is identifying an idea, I mean scouting a business idea, and the second point is analysis and evaluation of business idea. Both are the separate. So my first point is scouting of business idea, where basically we're talking about gathering and collecting different kind of information. So there are various sources of information. Maybe the information can be collected from your day-to-day routine. The information can be collected while you are traveling. You are observing so many things. You are visiting to various trade fairs. You are going through the success stories of various people, and so on and so forth. So once you are scouting the ideas, you can just jot it down that what are the ideas coming into your mind. Don't kill anything at this stage, because here we are particularly talking about the listing of the various ideas which are coming into your mind. And then second stage comes out to be the analysis and evaluation of that particular idea, basically where we are analyzing the feasibility of that particular idea. Thank you.
That's so aptly explained, Dr. Madhukar. Thank you for the elaborative thoughts. I'm sure students will have some idea around how to reframe themselves from the wishful thinking. Over to Prashant. Prashant, since you have developed a product and it's been quite a time, can you share some thoughts around how we can take an idea to a product stage?
Okay, first of all, when you have an idea, and you're basically thinking of developing the prototype or the MVP. So first thing that you need to do is don't be scared of sharing your idea. Define your in such manner that you're not exposing the technical details. Then go to your end customers, whoever you have identified your end customers, and talk to them, because the idea that you have actually generated. So I'll just extend the concept, entire concept that Madhukar sir just presented, that you explore the idea with a problem and then you go ahead. So you have devised that idea. Now to refine it further, you have to talk to more customers, because they might be facing some other kind of problems which you are not currently thinking of. So that's how you go ahead and refine your idea further, and then you have to break that down into priority based features. So identify the most important, you have to basically identify an MVP. To identify an MVP, you have to identify which basically which feature that you think can be used and deployed for a customer without any other additional feature. The problem that happens is that we as a student, usually we try to spread too thin, and we try to develop everything at the beginning only. We don't have to do that. If you want to go from an idea stage to a prototype stage or a MVP stage, you have to pick up one thing and do it good, do it well. And if you try to develop everything, you'll be stuck in the cycle of it's so much work, and we need funding, and we need people, so funding is not a problem. Don't worry about that. If you have the support of MVP, you have there are multiple ways to find funding. If you have the right idea, have the right implementation team, if let's say you are a technical guy, then get it yourself. But if you're not a technical guy, you're trying to develop a technical solution, then either you need to have a technical founder, or it's a technical complete division if you are a technical founding company. So best thing is that try to figure out what your MVP is, list down all the features, pick one, use that, and leave all the smaller features which are not really important for the later part, and start developing. And yeah, talk to your customer first.
Great.
Sachinji, there is some background noise coming. Can you please check?
Yeah, Ayush, can you please mute?
Yeah, now fine, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I have asked IT for the same also. Great. In fact, it's Ayush, it's your turn only, so you can unmute again. And context is around since you have moved engineering to a startup which is altogether into apparel. What do you think? How should I determine whether I'll be able to do a business or not? What traits exactly we should look forward to?
Actually, I think this is common for everyone. That firstly, we have to be a believer. We should be passionate about what we are, what steps we are taking. We know that we'll be able to do it, and and we can. And you should be always ready to learn, because you have to learn a lot in the process of entrepreneurship. You have to really be updated with what is happening. How the market is evolving. What are the trends? What is picking up for 2021, what is picking up for next 5 years, 10 years. You have to make a plan. And then I think once you have this both, you have the passion, you have the plan, I think you should be ready to face the fear, the fear of failures. I won't say you should be ready to face failures, but you might have a fear that you might fail. And if you can't face it, I really won't recommend you to take this leap. And some people are also afraid of success. So we have to see on the either end. Like, we should be very balanced, taking this approach with a very in a very planned way. And then obviously you might need to have some cash available. You have to arrange it for maybe filing for a company LLP, for some CA. There's a small cash available, so you should have it. And other than that, you should be having a sorted personal life. Because now that, I think it's in my belief, entrepreneurship is kind of a rocket science, but that's why you have to take everything into consideration while you take a leap. And why I say it's a very big thing that it's a rocket science, because if it's not, you will be ending up in the 90% of the startups that fail. So you have to be very accurate, very precise, think about it twice, think about it thrice, take that leap. And once if everything is planned by, your rocket will definitely succeed. You will go to the Mars, you can go beyond that. But and maybe you'll have that kind of a learning that sooner or later you'll pick up, where, you aim for. So I think that is very important. You should be passionate about what you're doing. And you should be very confident and happy while you take this leap.
That's perfect. I mean, the basic mantra would be stick to your guns, and I'm sure the success will follow. Great. So following this question is the same again. COVID might be have given this more clarity about startup cost and expenses. If it is not being managed well, you can go haywire. In fact, in the very first 6 months. So understanding that you have an apparel startup, what would be your idea and thoughts towards managing the startup cost and the expenses around it?
So I think we can break it down to two kinds of major expenses that we have while we start up, especially when you have a company like apparel, or maybe something that you need to hold an inventory for some time. So I'll break it in two parts. One is assets and other is expenses. So for example, you want to open a brick and mortar store. So you should first calculate, it's basic subtraction. So you have to calculate the amount spent into the assets. Like, you need shelves, you need a cash register, you need some inventory for the books or the clothes. And then, there's other cost involved, maybe for the lights, for the electricity. And if you're having an office, you have to calculate the cost of the office. And so these are the assets. And then we have expenses. Expenses are like, you're paying the salary, you have to pay the CA, you have to pay, for the other things, maybe to the website, for creating a website. And so these will come in expenses. Now, the most important thing that we actually miss while we start up is that we don't think about cash in bank. So cash in bank and cash flow are the most important thing, in my belief, that every business should have it. Now, once you have planned everything, you have a particular cash in hand. Now, how much cash you should have? So some people will say you should have it for 6 months. Some people will say you should have it for 1 year. But in my personal opinion, you should have a forecast for at least 12 months, planning very precisely how much profits you're going to make, how much units are you going to sell, and then keeping that much money always with you, and then recycling it to a limit, then that your business is sustainable.
That's right. That's right. Prashant, would you like to add to this?
Yes, sir. So basically, what I feel is, there are two kind of things when it comes to startup expenses. One is a software-based startup, one is a hardware-based startup. So if you have some, physical inventory that you need to develop and sell. So my thought on that would be that, if it's a software-based startup, your expenses are pretty much less, and there's a lot of if you're a software into software development, then you can do most of the work yourself. So there the initial amount of money is not that much of a problem. So now when it comes to hardware based startup, where you have a lot of, you have to keep the inventory, you have to manufacture the product, or develop get some parts imported from China or anywhere. So at that place, what I would suggest is that, instead of even if, let's say, you have a hardware based plastic part, and or a product that you're trying to sell, and so now the first thought that would come into your mind is that, you have to build the part beautifully, and then, so for that, if you go ahead and get it done with a mold, the mold in itself costs around 2.5 lakh rupees for even printing one part. So and they won't take a order less than 10,000 or 5,000 parts minimum. So and for each part there's a mold, so that makes your expenses way too much, which you cannot handle very initially when you don't have a lot of money or funding. So the alternative to that currently the technology provides is that, you 3D print your parts. It's a very easy, simple solution. With 2,000 rupees you can get a part built. So and you don't need to build a lakhs of inventory very initially. So my thought would be to manage your cost and manage within the amount of money that you have currently, even from your parents or from anywhere. So first, try to develop one or two prototypes, show it to some customers, try to find one or two or three more customers, maybe, give it to them for free, then ask the feedback, update your product, then go to the to the bigger players, get an order showing the prototype. Once you get the order, you can just, you can even take loan to develop that. You can register as MSME. Your startup can be registered as MSME, and you can take an order against the loan. The loan against the order. So that ways you can manage your finances very effectively and without a lot of funding. So if you start slowly, few customers, get order, build it iteratively. So that ways you never actually build a lakhs of inventory very initially. So that would be my suggestion to manage finances in a hardware based.
I agree.
That's right. That's right. Over to Dr. Madhukar. And before that, it's small announcement that I see there are a lot of questions in the Q&A section. So we will be taking the questions just immediately after the first round of the conversation with the panelists. Keep asking your questions. We will be definitely taking at the end. Starting with discussing with Dr. Madhukar, B plan is the basics of all the businesses. And in fact, when it comes to university and colleges, we have this in the included in the curriculum aspect and the entrepreneurship aspect. So what is your take about the B plan, how much it is important, and what are the typical few important points we should take care while preparing for the B plan to present?
See, we have talked about idea. We have talked about that how the idea is generated, idea is evaluated, selected. Even there are a few of the questions which has been asked in the Q&A session by the student, that if you have an idea, then what are the various steps to evaluate and screen. I think there are many important points which has been already been highlighted by Prashant while replying to the another question. So once the idea is selected, I think the next important aspect is converting your idea, translating your idea into a business plan. And actually, it is a business plan which is going to provide an overall structure to your idea, right? So when I look at business plan, it is very, very important because again, everything you are going to put on paper in terms of the idea which you have finally selected and evaluated. So, you need to be you need to behave very intelligently when you are putting everything on a paper and making a business plan, because it is ultimately a roadmap of your idea. It is a roadmap of your business. It is going to provide you overall direction. It is going to translate your idea into a business model. It is going to talk about the various implementation aspects. It is going to identify, describe, and analyze the various business opportunities, actually, which you are looking forward in terms of idea you have, shortlisted, or the idea you have selected. So where it is very important for you to make a comprehensive business plan. I'm not talking about making a very, very long business plan, but yes, it should be short and maybe limited to 8 to 10 pages in a summary form, where there can be a different component when a business plan is made, right? Starting from making a crisp about the overall business plan in a way of defining your executive summary, followed by the background information about the overall scenario pertaining to the key idea you are aiming at. Then the third important point in this is a market analysis, which I feel very, very important. And everyone is actually interested that what market it is, and how your idea going to make a change in the market. Is it your idea is just a small incremental improvement in the existing product and service, or your idea is going to be a game changer? Maybe we talk about a red ocean versus blue ocean strategy. So, is it, are you going to be a part of already existing competition, or you are going to be a differentiator, and you are going to, create altogether a new segment of market, and maybe looking forward to pursue a blue ocean strategy, right? Where you are feeling, we have seen a lot of startups in the past, those they have come up with this blue ocean strategy idea, and they are quite successful. So market analysis followed by competitor analysis, which is actually a part of market analysis, but we keep it separate because we are interested separately to talk about our competition framework, right? And then the next important point is when we are coming to the product and service, what we intend to offer, right? So where we are describing that how our product and service is a differentiated one. I talked about whether it is somewhat similar, what kind of differentiation it is going to create, right? And then what are the USP of our product and service which we are proposing, how it is going to make a change in the complete market scenario. And then the financial projection, which are again very, very important, because many of time we have seen that the complete logical thinking has not been put while making the financial projection, and always the startup founder is more interested to show a rosy picture of idea, right? So where because the investors, they are very clever, they understand, and they have come across with a lot of experience, and they have come across with a lot of idea which they have been daily screening. So they know that where are the gap and what is logical and what is not logical. So when you are projecting your financial projection, you should be very logical and should be confident enough in presenting each and every data figure which you are presenting there. And then the next part probably where you can talk about your operations and management team, which is again important, because the investors, they are also interested to see that who are the brain behind this idea, what are their competency level, right? What kind of skill set they have in terms of their experience. And the last part of making a business plan is a timeline, which is very, very important, right? So where you present a timeline, right, starting from developing a prototype and then to taking that prototype to pre-production to production, and finally you are talking about the commercialization. So what is the timeline of your idea? And again, when you are calculating timeline, it is important that you should take into consideration the all kind of controllable and non-controllable factors. So broadly, the business plans can be divided. There may be some kind of variation in terms of one or two more point added that depend upon the requirement. If there is a specific requirement asked, right, then accordingly that can be incorporated in a business plan.
That's right.
Right.
And very detailed explanation. I'm sure student will have a good clarity how to prepare their B plan and how to formulate an idea into a B plan. Now over to Ayush. This is an important aspect that competition is there, or maybe you may be having a niche idea. So what is your take how to do the competition study while formulating our product?
I think you should always have competition in your mind. There are few people who start with saying that I have no competition. That doesn't mean your idea is good. If you have competition, you are actually trying to disrupt the existing market, and you're playing in a market that might already be saturated. You have to do that feasibility test, and then what you are bringing new. And for that, I think you should be very updated with the the trends, and you should be very confident in what products that you're bringing in and how it is actually able to create the disruption. Now, once you have an existing market, that does mean you have an existing audience. So now that you have an existing audience, you can always target them and give them a better service from which your competition is already doing. That you can always do by checking what your competition is doing, how they are doing it. I mean, what kind of maybe social media presence they have, what kind of website presence they have, what kind of products that they are selling. Is your product good enough for a better price? Then obviously the customers that they have created will shift to you, because customers are kind of, if there is a deal coming better from Ola, they will switch to Uber, and they will switch to Ola from Uber, and they always analyze with the competition that is already there. So I think you should always have an eye on the competition, look for the strategies that they are applying, and then I think that will give you a better field of playing. Right, you're not playing a single game in football, you're playing a tournament here. There are many teams playing, but if you want to win, you have to do better than the others.
That's not that. That's right. That's right.
Right.
Prashant, this question, in fact, been asked by one of the attendee, and this been the general question for the most of the students. पैसा नहीं है. We don't have money. We know that. So how to know take up this aspect out of from their mind, and how to actually at least start with their idea formulation, and because you could be the best person to answer for it. So please suggest your thoughts so that student can be free from all this aspect and can plan further it how to bring money rather into the startup. Over to you.
Okay, so yeah, now this is the most common problem that everyone has very initially when we start working. Even I remember my college days, and I met the CEO of Apna Circle, who was also incubated at MIT, and he asked me about my idea, and I told him that the problem that I have is I don't have any money to implement that. So that was way back in 2011. 10, 11. So then, slowly, steadily, you realize actually that you do need money, but you need money to scale up. You don't need money to develop your first prototype, or you to develop at least an MVP, which actually can be shown to a customer. And to acquire first few customers, you really don't need a lot of money. You definitely need a little bit that that is required to build your prototype. That can be that varies upon what kind of product you are developing. You could be developing a moonshot kind of product, in which case you cannot go ahead with your own money. You will have to, but then you again have to do a POC and then show to the investor that this is a moonshot product. So but for most of the products which are not moonshot products, which are easily implementable by any student with having just a few thousand rupees of money, my advice is that just like I said, the two kind of startups are, one is software and hardware. So if you're a software one, invest a little bit of money just for let's say 10,000, 20,000. That's it. Nothing more than that, and that's sufficient for you to have to build a software product if you are into software. If you require more, then you using that prototype that you've developed, then you start pitching to the investors. There are various schemes of government, various schemes of private investors that you can pitch on to later. But then you cannot just go ahead with an idea that, oh, I have an idea and then I need money before even developing a prototype. You definitely can build a prototype by yourself and do that first. So, okay. So now coming on to the hardware based or let's say apparel based or any kind of, physical entity based. So in that also, you have to at least have something that you have developed yourself. You have to show that actually you can build and execute. The major problem is that everybody has an idea today, and ideas are it's said that ideas are dime a dozen. It's the execution of the idea that matters now. We have a lot of startups with people who have brilliant ideas, but they're not able to execute well. And we have some startups which did not even have a, but they executed it very well. The execution requires your own perseverance and your own effort, not exactly the money. So if you don't have money for the hardware based startup, my advice is build your own first prototype or the MVP, and then show it to the customers if it requires a lot of money. If it does not require a lot of money, then go to the customers, talk to them, try to sell it to them. So now when I say that, go to and talk to a customer, it does not mean you have to survey 1,000 or 10,000 people and then take a feedback from them. Just meet 5 people, 5 end customers every week, twice. So 10 customers a week. That's it. Just talk to them, tell them that this is the product that I'm building. If you don't have a prototype ready, take the feedback. Would you be interested in, or what do you think about it? If you have the prototype ready, it's even better. Then you go and show it to them and then say that this is the prototype. What do you think about it? Would you buy? How much would you buy it for? And then, if you can sell it to, let's say, 10 people over a month, you can show that to the investor and say that, okay, see, I have already started acquiring customers. And if I can get 10 customers without any money, you give me money and then I'll scale up. So, but then you have to start first, not worry about money right now.
Right.
That's
So
all.
summarizing what Prashant has mentioned is A, please start. B, build your MVP. MVP is minimum viable product, which you can circulate and you can show it to the relevant customers to at least buy and give you the feedback. And over and above, then you can move on for the next step of the startup process. Coming to Dr. Madhukar, in fact, no, this has a relevance to incubator as well. So, what do you suggest? No money, and how we should take it forward from the incubator point of view?
See, I have always been mentoring and telling students that don't worry about money, right? We are more hungry about idea. And once you have a good idea, right, we are here to support you and, make it more structured and make it and translate it to a good business model. And where the incubation center is there to provide all kind of support. So here comes the important role of incubation center, because we have some endowment fund reserve to support our business idea. We have had received grant from the various government bodies. Our incubation center is supported by Ministry of Information and Electronics, MITE, under TIE 2.0 scheme. So I have already mentioned that we have provided support to Prashant in developing his prototype. And similarly, there are other startup idea also where the incubation center is providing support. Apart from the government funding, we have our own endowment fund by the name of Amity Venture Capital. So we are also supporting students and providing funding support to all good ideas from Amity Innovation Incubator. So as I mentioned that it is not important that whether you have money or not. I understand that this is one important question, and I've been reading the question in the question and answer window, where the many students have write that what is the way out of taking your idea to next stage without taking any risk. So so you cannot just eliminate risk from entrepreneurship, because it is all about taking risk. It is all about taking your vision forward. It is all taking about your passion forward. So if you feel that you cannot have risk, then I think it is important that you must review your intention, because risk is something which is an integral part of any business. It is not related to business, but it is an integral part of any decision which we are taking in life, right? So one way to look at this problem is to minimizing the risk. The risk can be minimizing by making suitable assumption, by predicting future well, and by collecting more and more information, and take the help of all kind of decision making tools to make your decision more realistic, and incorporate the more element of probability in your decision making, so that you can construct a different scenario. And nowadays we have a business simulation technique also in decision making, which has been used, and we have been teaching this to the student, that how to take decision in dynamic situation, because each situation is dynamic, and how to construct the various scenario, and look at the risk perspective, minimize the risk, analyze the risk, and minimize the risk.
That's so aptly explained, Dr. Madhukar. Thank you for this. I think Himanshi, your answer, Dr. Madhukar, has is properly explained. Taking the further questions from the audience, and then probably we'll wrap up the this session. There is one anonymous one. He has mentioned, I have $1 million idea, but I'm afraid of getting it stolen. Ayush would like to address this.
So yes, I would love to. So the thing is, even if you have $1 million idea, there's not many who have the guts to go forward with it. And once you have the guts, you have the idea. I think history is defined by people who went ahead of ideas and actually took a step to realize that idea. And for that, I think you can always develop a plan, and you should firstly address the IP and the compliance. If you have an idea which nobody can copy, it has an intellectual property, first get it registered, then nobody can dare to take that idea and utilize in their products. But believe me, if you discuss the idea with 100 people, not a single one will be able to do it the way that you have thought of it. And you should always go forward with it without considering the effects that can happen by sharing these ideas. You should always take care. You should take care that you don't disclose a lot, and proper NDR agreements are there to be filed. You can always do that. Again, intellectual properties are very strong. You can always file for that, and just go with it. You shouldn't worry about just stop there with the idea.
That's right. In fact, just to add to it, there is a concept called executive summary. No, I think you can prepare that also, mentioning a brief about what's your startup or your idea is all about, and how you are going to scale it. What is the problem that you have identified? I think that 1 page or 2 page works well, and you can widely circulate it to wherever you want to get a glimpse of what actually the next fits for your startup. Drone Bhardwaj, I hope I'm spelling it, pronouncing it right. What if they already have the best services? Prashant, this question is for you. This is about problem identification in the current startup system, I believe. So how to find loopholes into that?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the entire question. How to find loopholes in?
Suppose there is one company which already have the best services to offer. Mm-hmm. And how we can find the loopholes to prepare our idea or startup.
Okay, so if there's an existing company with a which is doing well and everything they have, and you want to find a loophole, so that's where I think Madhukar sir also mentioned that there's a blue ocean and red ocean strategy. So then what you have to do is you have to figure out the blue ocean, which that big company, that big player, already existing player has missed out on. And then you refine your idea to target exactly that specific blue ocean, rather than trying to compete with him. Position yourself differently. Use your even if you have to make your product slightly differently, pivot a little or divert, create features which are specific to that specific blue ocean, then you do that. So once you get into that blue ocean, you target those specific customers, then I think the competition becomes different. So they won't compete with you. They'll probably try to acquire you sometime later.
That's right. That's right. I think with an example, if we can have it, the latest one is the cred, where we all must be having one credit card or 2 credit card, maybe Dr. Madhukar with 4 or 5. But over and above, I think the one problem was to pay the bills on time, and we might be able to forget that. So CRED resolves the simple problem, putting up all your credit card bills and informations to that one single access in your app and giving you the due reminders about it. And if you go through their case studies, more than 45 crores they have saved in the fine process, right? With the credit card kind of late fees was used to be there, and there is more than in thousands which have been saved by the fraud category. And that's been the problem identification in the best services is been there, because our credit card was already there, credit card app was already there by the bank, but CRED brings up the next solution, bringing up all the credit card into that one app, and so that you are at your ease to have your bills paid on time. Further to probably this would be the last one, we are going short of time. So this question is about, I think we have already discussed, is the idea it is there and the implementation aspect. So maybe in a brief, Dr. Madhukar, you would like to share.
Yeah, so what exactly you want me to emphasize here?
The implementation aspect. Finally, we have got the funding also, and he wants to start, I believe. This is the question. Right.
See, when we're talking about implementation, now there is a little overlapping or complexity in this, because once you're starting with the idea, you have a business plan, right? Probably you may not get funding immediately, right? Because investors, there are very few investors, those they are ready to fund your idea immediately. And probably it is a starting point where Prashant has also talking about making a prototype and going a little bit forward, right? Example, I'll give an example of venture of Ayush is there. So when Ayush has got this idea of starting this apparel venture, so he has making all kind of proto, he has developed his website, and then he has made some design. He has got a wonderful co-founder who is very, very hardworking. So both of them, they have worked very hard and they have made their venture live. And last meeting when I met them 2 months before, so they told me, sir, we have traction coming to our venture. So that point, which is very, very important, when you are able to generate some traction for your business. And this is a point where actually you can look for further funding, right? So as far as when you talk about implementation, because as an entrepreneur, you are 24/7 working on your idea to make it real, bringing from paper to in reality, and converting your idea into reality. So when you are working 24/7, right? So in this process, you keep doing many things parallelly. So you are taking your venture, you are to the next step, whatever limited capital you have with yourself, you are building that. Because when I asked from Ayush that how much amount you spent on generating this amount of traction, so the amount which he spent was very minuscule. And I was so surprised to hear. I said, Ayush, this is great. I mean, with this minimum amount, if you are able to reach to this point, so I appreciate a lot. Ayush, can you a little bit mention about that particular thing?
So we already are a couple of year old company, but once we started investing, we did it very organically, which I will say. So we have taken everything into consideration, limited the cost to a limit where we don't have to hold much inventory. So we were just running on recycling the money that we was earning from selling the thing that we already had, and the money and then the profits were recirculated in the company, keeping our personal expenses away. We are just recirculating the company, developing more ideas, and gradually going, instead of getting all the money at once, making a lot of products, failing fast. we didn't have that in mind. We didn't want to waste money. We have to work very smartly, and I think we were able to achieve it, because I think we took the right decision. We always, once you are a startup, you understand the the value of money. If you're coming from a rich background, you might invest 1 crore, 2 crores, 3 crores at once, and you're gonna feel, you're gonna waste everything. But once you are very frugal at the very start point, I think you should be there like this every step of the decision. Might be you'll get a funding of 100 crores, then also you have to spend it wisely, so you are getting more, saving it, using the profits well, using some for yourself, some and more for the company, and then sooner or later that small money will become big, and then you'll be a story. You'll definitely be a story if you're
And-
able to do that.
And one very important point when you have start working actually on your startup and you are into market, so you need to be very concerned, awake, and keep eyes on your environment. It is just like driving a car. When you are driving a car, you are looking forward, and you are looking forward on the road, and also you are keeping eye on your back view mirror simultaneously to keeping track of the traffic which is coming from you, and which are the vehicles which are there close and getting a overtake from you. So you need to keep a complete eye on your market. You have to keep track on the continuous performance of your startup, taking feedback from the market, feedback from the customer, and making necessary changes in your product and services accordingly, so that you can maintain the tempo and you can take up your product and service forward.
That's right. And finally, we have come to end of this session, and it's a wrap up with the three things that I'll be asking to each one of you, starting with Prashant. Prashant, to check whether my idea is feasible or not, three things you would like to recommend.
If your idea is feasible or not is, so first of all, check the two things. One is check the technical feasibility. There's a technical feasibility that is it technically feasible or not. Second is it market acceptable or not. That for that you have to you cannot decide sitting at home or doing a secondary research. You have to go and talk to at least 20, 30 customers, end users, which you think they are the end users. So what is the market acceptability of that? So second is that market acceptability. And third thing that your idea is feasible or not is your team composition. That are you actually have the capability of executing that? Your team should have all the traits that are required to implement that idea. If you're into there should be a domain expert, there should be a the technical or the techie guy, or the team has to be perfect.
That's
So
right.
that is one of the more important things.
Absolutely, absolutely. Over to Ayush. Three things to survive as an entrepreneur for first 3 years.
It is a good question. I think once you are already in the market, I think firstly you have to recognize the opportunity. You should see the attractiveness in your idea, and while how you see it, you think it as a consumer of the product that you are selling or the service that you are selling. So once you think as a consumer, you will be refined. Your idea is refined, and this is the best thing that I would buy, that I would definitely go, and this service, if I'm on the consumer's side, I will definitely get it, and that's gonna fix it. Then you should be really focused. So having an idea is one thing, executing is another. So you have to be really focused. And the third thing that I want to say is committing to the resources that you have. So for example, now you have to make a very good business plan, and it's about measuring, not just assuming. So for 3 years, if you're thinking about 3 years, it's not just assumptions. You can assume 100 crores, you can assume thousands of things. But if you can measure it, take some time on it. Can take 50 hours, it can take 200 hours, it can take 300 hours. Till you are able to measure it, I think then you will be able to define your 3-year plan, and then you can execute it in a way that you are sustained to that time, because most of the startups don't even reach that 3-year mark. So you have to sustain for that.
That's right. That's right. And in fact, it is a typical study that most of the startups failed in first 3 years of the business. And that was the basic reason I asked this question, because you all are the successful startups, and I'm sure there is a lot of learning from both of you. Over to Dr. Madhukar, the last one, 3 tips to get funding from you.
See, although we have talked a little bit about the funding in our previous discussion, and funding is something which is related to so many aspects, and it is really difficult to differentiate like what exactly need to be done, because it all starts from your idea and then your business plan, and how well you have translated your idea into a business well, and finally when you are looking for investor to fund your business, how well you are going to prepare your investor pitch deck, which is quite important, because ultimately the any investor who is going to give time to you in a very limited time, you have to pitch your idea, your business plan to the investor. So when I look at the investor pitch, I found there are three key points which are most important, right starting from the executive summary. Because anytime when you are talking to an investor, the investor say, okay chap, just send me an email, let me just go through your business plan. He is not going to meet you immediately, and he is not going to tell you, oh come on and let's have a cup of coffee and let's discuss your plan. So first thing he's going to talk about, he's going to ask for an email. And when you are sending an email, the first thing he would be interested to look at the executive summary. So the executive summary should be very, very strong, very, very crisp, and it should not go beyond one page. So where you need to make an excellent presentation and create a curiosity in the mind of reader that he should move to next page or next slide of your business plan. The second important thing I believe is uh, your investor pitch deck should be able to present an excellent business plan. Although there is confusion among what is investor pitch deck or what is a business plan. The business plan is to be looked at a more broader aspect, and investor pitch is actually, there's a similar component which investor pitch is going to take out, but it is very, very crisp. So where how you are presenting your business plan in terms of you are showing your business highly profitable, scalable and sustainable. So three important point which an investor generally looks for, that the business should be highly profitable, it must be scalable, and it must be sustainable. And then the third point where an investor, we have talked about that third point, is management team. So what kind of management team is there, what kind of people those they are behind this, what are their competency and experience. And there's a fourth important point is the future projection about how you have projected. So these are the some of the key important points which I think any entrepreneur, any startup founder should look forward for when he is going for a funding.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Madhukar, Prashant, and Ayush, for giving your valuable time and contributing to this important aspect of #Startup Stories, where we wanted the students to understand that college life is the best one to prepare and nurture your startup dreams, and how Amity is preparing, has given this ecosystem to nurture your entrepreneurial dreams. I thanks once again to all of you for joining me in today's session. Thank you.
Thank you.